Welcome to the official Jets podcast. We are presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. Eric Allen here inside the studio. We'll be joined momentarily by the mad backer, Bart Scott. But first, thanks to Alijah Vera-Tucker for coming upstairs here on a Monday. How would you describe the first 3 weeks of the season for the team and then for you individually?
I would describe it as, just learning how to deal with adversity. Obviously we want to be 3-0 right now, but that's not where we're at. So it was a good win last weekend at Cleveland in a hostile environment. But we got to find ways to win at home now and get the job done. And all we could do is just build off of these last 3 weeks, see what we need to improve on, and move on from there. And then me personally, pretty much same thing. There's some good and bad things. I know what I need to improve on. The team knows what we need to improve on, so it's pretty much moving on and getting the job done as professionals.
How about the transition over to right guard? You made it look pretty easy.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Playing left guard and even being on the left side, like left tackle, and then getting moved to right guard. But I say that I've enjoyed it. Like I've always said, wherever I'm at, whatever the team needs me to play, that's what I'm going to play. But yeah, I'm feeling comfortable with that right guard. We got 14 more games left. So yeah, got to turn it on.
How do you think Max Mitchell has handled everything? I mean, you guys have been playing everybody at tackle here since the summer, and the continuity is something that you guys are all striving for up front. But he was forced in that lineup in week one. For my eyes, he's fared pretty well. What do you think about him? A fourth-round pick out of Louisiana.
Yeah, that's Money Mitch, man. No, he's definitely held his own. I feel like in this division they got some pretty good pass rushers, especially over the past a couple weeks. And like I said, he's handled his own, especially just getting thrown in there. But yeah, Money Mitch he's been doing his thing, man, in the run game and in the pass too. So only up from here,
Let me ask you about Pro Football Focus. How much do you pay attention to those grades? Because right now, through 3 weeks, AVT, the number one ranked run blocker from a guard position in all football.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Me personally, I'll never look at that. I'll have family members send it to me. It's kind of hard not to see it. But yeah, it's just motivation for me really to keep on pushing, see what I need to improve on and things like that. But overall, I don't really pay attention to the PFF numbers. I think what's more important is, what you see on film and you're the one out there, and then also, what your coaches see too. So yeah.
You're your own harshest critic, and we talked about that during the offseason in terms of your goals in year two. What did you want to get better at here in your sophomore professional campaign, and do you think that's coming along? Yeah.
Overall, man, I really just wanted to get playing faster. And I think year two in this playbook has really helped, and year two playing the league as well. I talked to plenty of guys who said every year, it seems to get easier. So, I feel comfortable out there, just being able to fly around now, knowing everything. And, I just wanted to come in and work on, obviously, run game and pass game too. So, been feeling like I've been doing, a better job at that than last year. So, it's just, continue to stack those blocks.
Can I ask you how difficult it is considering through 3 weeks? You guys have had the lead. Do you know how long? 22 seconds.
Yeah.
How difficult is that? Because if you're playing from behind, that often means that you got to put the ball up, and you guys have been putting it up. So when you don't have that balance from an offensive line perspective, other guys across from you know, hey, I'm just going upfield.
Yeah, that's the thing about coming from behind is it sucks is then you have to start, just throwing the ball the whole time. But, that's just what I said earlier is, kind of dealing with adversity. So I feel like we've been able to do that. And, I think just trying to get the run game going is going to be important for the next 14 games. And we'll get it done, so we can have an even mix of it.
What have you thought about the skill position players as far as talent-wise that you guys have across the board. We've seen the contributions from Garrett Wilson, the Pepsi Zero Sugar Rookie of the Week in week 2. And then Breece Hall making contributions, running the football, and also catching it. And you came in with a class that included, of course, Elijah Moore and Michael Carter. Yeah. Do you kind of see it all coming together?
Yeah, I definitely I definitely see it all coming together, and you see little sparks of it in the games, the talent that we have. And I see all the time in practice, CD, a big receiver, could go up there, catch the balls, who's a great run blocking receiver as well. E. Moore, fast, Breece, MC, all the guys you mentioned. I feel like we're all, gelling well together. And then Garrett Wilson, as well, too. Shout out to him. He just won that award last week for Rookie of the Week. But yeah, I feel like that's a good skill room we have. So it's fun to watch actually from an O lineman to when they catch the ball, just see them do their thing. So it's cool.
But you don't have the opportunity to do that during the game. So for you, is it like turning on the film Monday morning and be like, wow, G-Dub was really at work here against Cleveland, or Breece was running nice routes out of the backfield, etc.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. You definitely can't see it as much, but I feel like as an O lineman, you kind of look up at the big screen. You're like, okay, they're kind of doing their thing. But yeah, I mean, you'll see it in film. Coaches will point it out too, so it's always a good thing to see. But yeah, those boys are getting right.
Bunch of dudes frustrated on the sideline, rightfully so. With that being said, during that game against the Cincinnati Bengals, defending AFC champions, what was it like when you all got together Monday? What kind of messaging did Robert Saleh have? And then for you as players, what kind of messaging did you have amongst yourselves?
I think, Coach Saleh said it best. It's really the little things, that have been getting to us. And it's those little things that you got to focus on in practice. If it's taking extra time before or after to work on them, you got to do what you got to do. But he addressed the team well today. Nobody has their head down. We're 1-2, but this season is far from over. We all know that. We all know what talent we have in this room. It's just all about putting it all together. And then, I feel like personally for me and as a team, all our heads are up. I feel like the morale is still good in this building, which is very good to see, especially from last year, And then, if you just look at the tape, it's the little things, that we've been missing. So it's just all about getting those little things corrected and then, be able to go out there and have some fun.
For you guys offensively, finish is going to be a big word. I know you get in that plus territory. We're not able to convert with touchdowns against the Bengals. How do you make that transition coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers to make sure? What do you have to do? Does that speak to the little things that you're talking about that you guys have to do in terms of finishing?
No, yeah. Just looking at the film, from the past couple of weeks, that's really what it is. It's just the little things, getting it done. Everybody from the play caller to, the players on the field, people on the sideline, it all has to gel together for us to, get those TDs up. And it will definitely happen. I can see it. Everybody else can see it in this building. It's only a matter of time. But yeah, like I said, man, the morale is good. And then going against a good defense this week in Pittsburgh, at Pittsburgh, that'll be fun. Good environment too. So
no doubt, a great environment. What do you think about the environment in Cleveland? And does it give you confidence that, hey, we faced that environment and we came out there with the victory as you guys prepare for the Steelers?
Yeah. No, that was a great environment out there in Cleveland. Shout out to those fans. I mean, they're respectful too, but they also get pretty rowdy out there. So that was really cool. And it was cool getting an away win. But I feel like for me personally, I know a couple other people on the team, it's like it's fun. I like going and playing at away games.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's fun to, silence that crowd a little bit. And it's just different, from a home game as well. But, yeah.
Communication is big, all aspects, every position group. But what changes for you guys up front when you're on the road?
Yeah, it's just got to hear that play call in the huddle, man. It gets really loud. It's hard to hear that sometimes when, Joe's even right there speaking to you. And also, just being able to go up there, look at the fronts, and the silent count's a big deal as well. I mean, for any NFL football team in a hostile environment. So I feel like those things are pretty critical.
How about you playing the guard position? What does it mean when you're playing against a 3-4 front like the Steelers employ compared to a 4-3 front?
Yeah, I think it's just it's a different type of defense that, our offense is capable of, putting some pressure on. But me personally, I kind of like going against those 3-4 defenses a little bit. Yeah, it frees me up a little bit to go to those linebackers. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. Definitely, you have to be on your toes a lot more rule changes to it, and that kind of implies the communication and stuff like that as well too when you're up at the line. But I feel like you've been doing a good job at it. It's only, we just got to keep on building on that.
What's that feeling like when you're out on the move and you got a chance at the linebacker where you got some open space and you're going to hit the second level?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great feeling, running full speed to them. Some linebackers, it's funny, like some linebackers, they'll take on the hit. Some will try and shimmy around you. So that's what you got to do, your studying. But yeah, I mean, as an O-lineman, going up in free space is pretty much nothing better. So, yeah. You've
said all along that this system fits you perfectly. Mm-hmm. Now in your second year under John Benton, how would you describe it from your spot?
I would say, like I said earlier, I mean, I just feel a lot more comfortable in this offense year two. I mean, it's been tough to, switching tackles and stuff like that. But like I said, Max has been doing a really good job so far. So, I mean, he's making my job easier. I feel like I'm making his easier. So, it's going well so far, man.
Is he a talker out there on the field, or is it something that you got to get in his ear? And have you become more vocal just because you are a veteran?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like for Max, I feel like he's kind of like me. He's kind of a guy who leads by example, I would say. But, when he needs to turn it up, he'll know when to do that. There's a certain time and place for that. But yeah, I mean, he be talking on the sidelines, this and that, getting everybody hyped up, which is cool to see.
Man, how crazy is it, though, if you think about it, where you started training camp and we didn't know if it was going to be Mekhi Becton or George Fant, and then Robert Saleh announces that, hey, we're going to keep Fant at left tackle, and Becton's going to be at right tackle, and you're lining up next to Mekhi for a few days. He goes down, then George is next to you. We see George makes the switch back to left tackle, of course. Then you bring in Dwayne Brown eventually, and you're thinking that Fant's going to be back on the right side. Dwayne, he goes down. It's just been a series of events that probably like nothing you've experienced before.
Yeah. Definitely never experienced some of these switches at tackles, but I mean, that's the game. It's football. Injuries come with that, and unfortunately, we've been hit with the injuries on the O-line. But, I mean, everybody's been holding their own. I feel like we've had to deal with some adversity over the past, month and stuff like that. But like I said, Max has come in. He's done his thing. Get some really good edge rushers the past couple of weeks. And then Fant as well over there. Being at the left tackle spot, I feel like that's where he feels more comfortable, anyways.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we're just all holding up, and you can't really do nothing about injuries in this game. You just have to keep on moving forward, and that's definitely what we've done.
Do you have any time to think, hey, woe is us at that point? When you see Fant go down yesterday, and I know you have faith in Connor McDermott coming in and playing left tackle, but at some point you're like, wow. We got another guy coming in.
No, I'm telling you, like, I'm not sugarcoating it. Like, it sucks. It sucks to see your guys go down. Mekhi, Dwayne, and then Fant as well. But those are some tough guys. They wouldn't go down without a fight. So when they out, it's tough. But like I said, it's tough, man. But you just got to keep on going. There's nothing you could do about it. So you just got to go in there and play your tails off And I feel like that's just, what we continue to do.
We talked about it numerous times last year, how potentially special that 2001 draft class could be. What do you think about this 2020 draft class when you're seeing Sauce out there flying all over the field, making plays against Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson has really made a statement in his first 3 NFL games. Jermaine Johnson making plays from the defensive end position. Breece Hall has become a fixture out of that backfield, working in tandem with Michael Carter, and the list goes on and on. We talk about Mitchell starting for you guys. How special can this class be?
Yeah. I feel like I definitely see the talent in this class and this special. I feel like they have a great opportunity to be special, themselves. But each one of them has an important role on this team right now. And I feel like they know that. We all know that. But at the end of the day, they're in the league for a reason. We drafted them for a reason. And, when they go out there, they know what the deal is. It's time to, put on a show. And like you said, everybody's been contributing too. Even Clemens, he's been out there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's been out there doing his thing. Shout out to them.
How much have you enjoyed living on the East Coast and also playing for the Jets fans? Because these people are starving for a winner, but I think they like your lunch pal attitude. You bring the hard hat every day.
Yeah, moving to the East Coast, that was kind of hard at first. You can't pick where you get drafted to. But I'm not going to lie, New Jersey's kind of warming up to me a little bit, I like it out here. Food's great. People are great. Shout out to New Jersey. But yeah, and then what was the second part of the question?
The Jets fans, they're hungry for a winner, and they expect a winner. But with that being said, I think they've really embraced you specifically because you bring that hard hat every day to work.
Yeah, that's just something you got to do, in this league. I feel like I was able to, learn that pretty quick from the help of a couple of veterans and, a couple other people I know in the league before me. But yeah, this league is different, man. You got to come in every day, with your hard hat on, like you said. And if you have a bad day, you got to learn, how to move on really quick.
Yeah.
Because, it's just something you got to do. But yeah, shout out to the fans. I know they're hungry for it. Trust me, I'm hungry for it too. I don't like losing. I don't think anybody in this building likes losing. What's that phrase or what's that saying? I hate losing more than winning.
Right.
Like that's a
love
true,
winning. Yeah.
That's a true feeling that I have, and I know a lot of people in this building have as well. It's just all about moving on to Pittsburgh and getting the job done.
Is it going to make it even sweeter if you guys are able to turn this thing around?
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like, we know what we have in this building. We know what people are saying outside of the building. We know, a lot of people don't believe in us, but at the end of the day, we don't really care. We could care less about what other people think. Because at the end of the day, it's about us. We're the one coming in, putting in the work every day. And I could see, every day in practice and even in games, we're very close. So it's just all about, getting the job done.
What do you take from both sets of parents? If you look at the tattoos on your arms, Vera-Tucker, what do you take from both sets?
Yeah. I'm a big family man. So that was a big reason why I got these tattoos. But I feel like, all four of my parents, shout out to, they did a great job, raising me and then my little siblings as well, into the people we are today. But yeah, like I said, I'm a big family man, so I like to represent it whenever I can, and then like going back home, that's always a great feeling, seeing everybody. But at the end of the day, I got to put on for the name on my back and represent it well. So that's what I try to do every day walking in this building. You
are from the Oakland area. How do people who come from Oakland take a path to success? Because a lot of people are facing some tough circumstances, and they got a ladder to climb.
Yeah, it's definitely it gets grimy in Oakland, but I feel like with the support of my family and stuff like that, they laid a pretty nice path for me, I guess, to be successful, whether it's school and help me with football stuff. but I love Oakland. You know, that's why I go back there every off season. That's home to me. That'll always be home to me. Always be in my heart. I love the people of Oakland too. You know, the culture. I feel like it's just different. You know, than a lot of other cities, especially in California as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And specifically, what do you take from your mom and your pops? Can you tell us what they did when you were growing up in terms of professionally, but that's setting an example for you?
I think for me, what it was seeing how hard they would work, and you know, like they never really complained either. You know, if we wanted something, they would say no, but.
And what did they do again? What did they do again as far as work?
Well, my pops, my stepdad, my mom's a stay-at-home mom, but I mean that's a hard job in itself.
Yeah.
You know, with 3 kids, especially dealing with my 2 little sisters and me. But yeah, then my stepdad, he owns his own like construction business,
right.
like a contractor, and then my dad and my stepmom are both firefighters for the city of Oakland. So really just seeing them do all that, you know, coming home, never complaining, I feel like that just, you know, kind of, I would just see that, and I feel like kind of, what's that word? Wore off on me, I guess you could say.
Right.
Yeah. But then I feel like they also did a good job with the little things, you know, you shake a man's hand, look him in the eye, you know, always be respectful to others. I mean, it's just a lot of things I could go, you know, through, you know, talk about what they did to raise me to be the man I am today. But I really am grateful for all 4 of my parents and like all my family as well too.
But how cool is that in terms of them being firefighters and putting themselves on the line for other people, and how much does that help? Like in your professional setting, I'm not saying you're a firefighter, but as far as that teamwork mentality of understanding the importance and also self-sacrifice.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's crazy because, I mean, it's pretty similar in a lot of ways. You know, if you think about it, you know, when they go into a fire, they're relying on, you know, about how whatever it is, 5 or 10 other people in there with them to take care of them and make sure they're doing the little things right. And it kind of translates to football as well. You know, football is a team sport. If one guy, you know, out of 11 isn't doing his job, then, you know, something bad could happen.
Right.
You know, or something might not go your way. So I feel like that's, you know, they're similar in that way too. And then I feel like when you go into a firehouse, a fire station too, you know, they're all really close and tight with each other because they spend all day with each other, kind of like, you know, a football team. In the league, you know, they're always with each other, practice meetings, everything like that too, and they all go through a lot with each other as well. So, a lot of similarities in that.
So let's look ahead. If indeed Zach Wilson is back in the lineup this week, what can you say about how hard he worked in the offseason after his rookie year, and also how excited are you being a teammate for his next opportunity?
Yeah, well, answer the second question first. I'm very excited to see, you know, Zach Wilson this season. That's my dog. And, you know, I've known, or I know that he's been putting in the work, you know, in the offseason. You know, we were talking, everything like that. But you could see it, too, when he came into training camp and even before in OTAs. You know, he's really starting to take on that leadership role, and he knew what he had to do, you know, to improve from last year. So, you know, whenever he comes back, you know, make sure he comes back healthy enough to play. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he does, man. It's going to be fun. You said he's your dog. Why is Wilson your dog? Why have you guys always hit it off? And what do you appreciate about him? I mean, you know, I got drafted with him, so, you know, I feel like that automatically, you know, made us pretty tight. But, you know, he's also a great dude off the field. You know, if you know him, you know, he's a pretty humble guy, you know, doesn't like to talk a lot about himself. Always puts the team first no matter what. But, yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited to see what he does this year because I know he's been putting in that work just like everybody else on this team. He just hasn't had an opportunity to show it yet. So when he does get that opportunity, you know, we all going to be here for them. What changes for you as a lineman? Because no knock on Joe. He has his strengths, but he's not as athletic or mobile as
Wilson at this point in their careers. With him back in there, what changes for you guys?
I wouldn't say too much changes. I mean, at the end of the day, you always want a clean pocket no matter what. So pretty much nothing changes. I mean, when you have a younger QB like Zach, a little bit more mobile, he can kind of get out of, some tricky situations a little easier than others. So I feel like that's pretty much the difference. But from an O-line standpoint, the mindset doesn't change at all.
Right.
Keep the depth of pocket, tackles, take them out wide, and keep the quarterback clean.
AVT, I really appreciate it coming in here. Hey, did you want to announce anything here as far as personal news or no?
Let me think. I can't think of nothing right now.
Okay.
But if I think of something, I'll tweet it out or something like that.
Good deal, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you for having me, man.
WynnBET is bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting and casino play. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports. From boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport, they have what you need to win. Jets fans in New Jersey, sign up today and use promo code XJETS. And after placing your first $100 wager, you will receive $100 to bet with. You will receive a $50 free bet and a $50 casino bonus. Again, the promo code is XJETS. Offer subject to change. Offer only available in New Jersey. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 or older to participate. Please visit wynnbet.com to view welcome offers available in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia.
Now as advertised, here's the mad backer, Bart Scott. I just got done talking to Alijah Vera-Tucker as we opened the podcast. AVT really downplayed that move from left guard to right guard. How difficult is that transition, even though he did play across the line at USC?
Well, I'll tell you what, great players never complain. And, the things that are difficult to most, they make seamless and easy to do. I think he's downplaying it a little bit. He is a great player. He's an ascending player, and I think he's shortly becoming one of the best guards in the NFL. But it's not easy to do whenever you're used to having one leg up and the other leg back and one arm down and another arm down. And also the chemistry of learning how to play next to a new person, right? Whether you're on the other side of the center and you're on the other side with a tackle. Everything has, minor adjustments, and especially when you're talking about being on the dominant side, when you talk about the tight end is usually on the right-hand side because most quarterbacks are right-handed. So now you're learning everything because that controls the entire, scheme of how you're deciding to block. You're not sliding, usually that way or you're sliding another way, and it makes a difference. But he's done it, and he's done a tremendous job of it. And I think he's one of the very, very, one of the many bright spots that the Jets have early in the season.
And there's no doubt about that. Yeah. What changes for him, though, playing next to a fourth-round pick who the Jets took in the draft, and Max Mitchell, who you're probably thinking in April that, hey, this guy isn't going to get many snaps in year one. Well, in fact, he started the first 3 games. You go back to the Jets tackle rotation. You go from Fant in training camp to who starts at right tackle. You go back to the start of training camp where we're thinking it's a left tackle competition, and then Becton starts at right tackle. Then Fant moves to right tackle. Dwayne Brown comes in. Fant moves back to left tackle. And then finally, Brown gets hurt, and you got Max Mitchell at right tackle.
Well, that's enough just trying to explain that, made your head hurt. So you can imagine how he felt. Because everybody does something different. Everybody stands, one person stands maybe a little bit wider. Somebody else may want to get bigger splits. You talk about being able to go stretch plays. You talk about, TG blocks. That's about having chemistry with everybody, right? You talk about when the center's pulling from the right side. It's a lot of different variations, and you want to be able to have conversations with the person you're playing next to, because you're hoping that they see the game and see the fronts the same way you see it. Well, everybody sees and has different strengths and weaknesses. And, he's had 3 different guys in there. And he's, now he has a young guy in which he's used to being a young guy and used to, maybe leaning on Fant and getting some advice and being able to be talked to. Now he's doing all the talking as he's trying to explain and kind of say, hey, look for this, watch out for that. and be a coach on the field, that's a lot more responsibility than he probably anticipated having before the start of the season.
Stops and starts offensively for the Jets, especially at these home games. Just Greg Zuerlein field goals covered the scoring against the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. With that being said, I think you should be encouraged about the talent that's out there on the field. We go in the backfield and we see Breece Hall and Michael Carter, and then Garrett Wilson continues to do his things. Elijah Moore is here as well. Corey Davis made a big catch over the middle. But just for the Jets right now, moving into week 4, what do you have to see from them offensively as we move ahead, as they're trying to get everybody going at the same time?
Well, I think, one, when Garrett Wilson went out, it really put a lot of pressure on Elijah Moore because, he's not the tallest receiver. And we realized last year that him playing in the slot is what's most beneficial to the team. We have to move him out to bring Braxton Berrios to a position that he's comfortable with. Now, Elijah's out of position. He's getting jump balls. He's not the biggest target. You want him coming across the middle. You want him with the ball in his hands in space, not really running go routes. Garrett Wilson showed a tremendous amount of toughness. I think he probably earned even more respect from his teammates. The fact that he came back after taking a vicious hit to the ribs. Anybody that's ever had injured ribs know how difficult that is, especially when you're talking about reaching over your head and running and also continue to take shots on there. But he continued to play, well and hard. But it also showed that, he's a guy that sets the table. His separation and his short area quickness, forces defenses to have to respect him, which opens everything up for other people. Now you're asking yourself, okay, where could they get better at? I think they can get better at and really starting to, because teams are blitzing them or teams are getting quick pressure, from the tackles. Trey Henderson had himself a day, 3 sacks after not having any sacks during the year. It's time to start screening these guys to slow them down, draws to slow them down, whams and woes type of plays to slow them down because, teams are going, especially when, Zach Wilson gets in, they want to test, to see if that knee is healthy, especially going against Blitzburg this week. They're going to come at him. They don't have the pure pass rushers that the Bengals had. What they have is the ability to get pressure by blitzing and adding more people than you can block and confusing young quarterbacks. So the quickest way is for everybody to know that they're the hot route, but also to throw a lot of screens to really slow them down, much like Cleveland did to the Jets in week 2.
If Wilson is indeed the starter against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're waiting to get the word as far as him being medically cleared, what's your expectations for him? Because last year he suffered the PCL sprain against the Patriots. He came back in the season's back half, and he played really well. 9 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions, protected the football. But there also is a danger there, I think, inherently for a young player to come back and try to make up for lost time.
Well, I hope that he saw that the success that Joe Flacco had was putting that ball in the hands of the playmakers and letting them do the work and leaning on the veterans in his team. So I hope that he would come back and be surgical with the ball, understand, get his pre-snap reads, do the little things, change the snap counts, being able to audible at the line of scrimmage, but also continue to have chemistry. It was crazy because Joe Flacco had tremendous chemistry with Garrett Wilson, but we know that Zach Wilson last year had tremendous chemistry with Elijah Moore. So let's see if that continues and maybe he can get Elijah Moore going a little bit, because now it's to the point where I think people are really respecting Garrett Wilson and know that, you have to really put good players, on him, or he's going to create separation and move the chains. So maybe that opens the other guys up as, Garrett Wilson can be a bit of a decoy.
Yeah, just on paper, you look at the lineup the Jets had in week 18 last year against the Buffalo Bills versus whatever they'll line up with, especially the skill positions. It's night and day in terms of what they have talent-wise, in terms of explosive people who can do damage with the ball in their hands.
No, absolutely. I think, they've done a great job of getting, people that are talented in different things and that can hurt teams and opponents in different ways. I love the 1-2 punch of Carter and Hall. But, we got to take the next step, right? We got to figure out ways how to score in the red zone. You got to figure out ways, Conklin had a tremendous game, 85 yards receiving. Everybody has to come to the party because teams are going to try and take, the best players away. And that's where the supplemental players are going to have to step up and say, hey, you better pay attention to me too, because I can do damage.
All right, so let's flip to the defensive side of the ball. Motion's part of the game. You know that better than anybody. From what you saw, Quinnen Williams, Aaron Whitecotton talking on the sidelines, obviously a difference in opinion there. You love to see the fire, but your thought process is more schematically about Quinnen's telling the coaching staff, I just want to rush 4 as opposed to sending numbers.
Yeah, because, I mean, part of my pregame was that you really don't want to do that against Joe Burrow because he's made a living. Just ask the Baltimore Ravens, who he torches routinely, who decides to blitz him. Really this team was struggling really in a cover 2 shell. That's what they were really struggling with. They talked about trying to figure out how to solve that puzzle. And then when you give Joe Burrow the ability to have the answers to the test once he senses that it's some type of blitzing, going on. And, you want to try with they have 3 tremendous receivers. Mixon is good coming out of the backfield, and also Hayden Hurst. You want, him to really hold on to the ball. I think at times they were undisciplined on the edges and lost contain. If they would have just stayed where they were supposed to stay and not ducked their heads in, they would have fell into a sack because that's where he ended up, escaping.
How can the communication issues be fixed, especially in the defensive backfield?
Well, oddly enough, if it's you multiple times, then you have to take a big look in the mirror. I mean, you talk about pre-snap communication, alignment, and assignment is what you have to have. And you can't have, people running around trying to ask where you go or line up in the wrong place. It seems like everybody had it together and, Sauce had a communication inside and out on Jamar Chase. And not because of skill and talent, but because of execution, they get a walk-in touchdown that was pivotal when you had an opportunity maybe to force them to kick a field goal.
With that being said, you as a player, what do you do when that happens? You get back on Monday and you hammer it home because this is week 4, and I know these guys don't want this to happen. Even though there are 4 new starters, the Jets aren't going to sit there and say, hey, listen, we're all new in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, listen, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And the issue is, that for the most part, it's veteran players, and that's what you don't expect. And sometimes as a veteran player, you can believe that you know, and sometimes you can get nonchalant and complacent because you feel like where sometimes young players, are all in because it's new to them, so they have to really lock in and hone in. That comes down to attention to detail. That comes down to the week of preparation. That comes down to really, really getting into your playbook and really learning it like the back of your hand so well that you can teach it to others and so that you can help and be a asset to everybody out there. Because if you don't know where to line up and people are trying, then your eyes aren't right. So then, the ball snap, you're trying to figure out where you're going. You haven't looked at the formation. You haven't got the pre-snap intel that you're used to getting, and you're a step slow or you bust. And, unfortunately, we've seen that a couple of times from the secondary and giving up explosive plays.
Do you expect the best version of whatever the 2022 Pittsburgh Steelers this week, considering they've had 10 days now to prepare for the Jets? I know no T.J. Watt, who you can make the argument he's the best defensive player in football. You can make the argument that he's the best player in football.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the reigning defensive player of the year. You talk about coming close to breaking the sacks record. But I think he sets the table for everybody else because when he's able to get loose and he's on the field, then that allows Hightower, who had 3 sacks the first week, to be able to eat because he's going to get the one-on-one matchups. Everybody's going to be sliding away from, to T.J. Watt. Mika Fitzpatrick is a special player, and this defense is going to be rough and rugged. The Steelers are who they always are. They're a disciplined, prideful organization that have won 6 Super Bowls. That have a standard, and like Mike Tomlin says, the standard is the standard. It doesn't matter who's playing defense, whether it's Joey Porter, whether it's Jason Gildon, Kevin Green, James Harrison, Lamar Woodley, or now T.J. Watt. They expect if you put that uniform on, you're going to play a certain type of way, and more times than not, they're going to do that. So you have to be ready for a physical matchup and understand that it's going to go 4 rounds, and you're going to have to battle because it's going to be tough sledding. But if you continue to stay the course and believe, if that you can break that wall down.
Do you think it's possible we see Kenny Pickett in this game, or do you think Tomlin sticks to his guns with Mitch Trubisky?
Tomlin is usually a man of his word, and if he says that the plan is to make sure that they stick with Trubisky the entire year, then they're going to stick with Trubisky the entire year. But what can't be overlooked is the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers have three of the best skills players on the outside. Where you want to talk about DeAndre Johnson, you want to talk about the young rookie from Georgia, or you want to talk about
Pickens.
Pickens, or you want to talk about Claypool. And then Fairmouth is like a second coming of Heath Miller. So I know that they may not have the best offensive line, and Najee Harrison has struggled so far early in this season to get going. But it's not because they don't have capable, explosive receivers on the outside. They have good players. They just have an inexperienced quarterback. So you hope that your quarterback can outplay their quarterback. But to do that, that means that the opposing defense is more responsible about that than actually Zach Wilson.
And they got a very good running back in Najee Harris, as you know. Do you expect this to be another low-scoring fourth quarter affair where it's going to be decided late?
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but when you look at it, right, every game, in the NFL, probably about 80% of them come down to the one last possession, and you either stopping 4th and 1 or you converting 4th and 1. And, that's the NFL. It's always going to be – it's a lot of parity now. Everybody has good players. And if you don't bring your energy, you don't bring your focus, you can get embarrassed in this league really quickly.
Robert Saleh, what would your messaging be to the troops this week? I mean, he told them last week after Cleveland it's time to move on. Do you have that same kind of message following the game against the Cincinnati Bengals, where the defending AFC champion, who were a wounded Tiger, came in and you knew they were going to take your best. You knew you were going to take their best shot. You got their best shot. Now, how quickly do you got to turn a page?
Well, you're going to get Pittsburgh's best shot too, because they're coming off of a loss to a divisional foe, and they're going to be upset and angry, thinking that this is a must-win for them as well. So that's what this league is all about. But if you're the Jets, you should be angry that you just lost a game in front of your home crowd. You're 0-2 at home. You got to try and get right and be 2-0 on the road to be able to try and flip-flop it and say, okay, well, I can be 0-2. I'll settle for 0-2 at home if I'm 2-0 on the road, and hope that you can play better when you're in front of your home crowd again. But you're going to have to stay the course. And it's one of those things, measure twice, cut once. And you got to make sure that your pre-snap communication is on par, because if you're not all pulling the rope in the same direction and communicating, then you can't help each other when you get into these formations in which they force you to communicate, whether it's shifts, motions, over routes, pre-snap reads, bunch routes. That's all about communication. If it don't matter how you play it, as long as you guys are playing it both the same way.
Do you get bad feelings personally when you hear the word Pittsburgh Steelers? Considering a great rival with the Baltimore Ravens, and then they prevented you from going to the Super Bowl in 2010, of course.
Well, twice. They in 2009 as well. But I would also like to I work with Willie Colon. I know you guys remember him as a Jet. A lot of people know him as a Jet, but I know him as a Steeler. And when it gets about Pittsburgh, even though we're teammates now, I don't really like him too much, because I know what he was a part of, and he's basically a Sith Lord behind closed doors.
You heard James Earl Jones is retiring The Voice now. Darth Vader.
Listen, the man has been, an outstanding actor for years. You talk about the voice of Mustafa. It's time for him to smell the roses and enjoy himself. As he's in the later stages of his life, he needs to go enjoy. We thank him for all that he's meant, not only to the Star Wars enterprise, but what he's meant to cinema and the gold standard that he set.
Dude's a legend. Let's leave it here. You don't like the Steelers, but with that being said, how great of an environment are the Jets about to walk into in terms of home fields?
It's one of the greatest places to play in football. We all know third quarter, when they need it, what track they're going to play. And it's going to amplify the crowd, because they know over the years when they play that track, Renegade from Styx, that it has caused havoc and fear in the opponent. You have to embrace it. You have to face it head on and come out on the other side of it. But you know what? You talk about the Steel City. Steel is fortified and forged in fire. So bring it on.
Bring it on, brother. Thanks, man.
My pleasure.